Hey everybody, Dauntless here, and welcome back to another episode of Space Quest: The Lost Chapter. Now, I've been looking over this game and kind of very impressed by its graphical style. I was thinking about it, and while I do think the character in some cases is a little too bulky, he looks kind of... The animation of the character when you're walking him around, not in this view obviously, but in the regular view, he seems a little bit bulky. Overall, I do see, a lot of work involved and stuff like that, which is why I was kind of curious how this game was built. Well, I did some research, and this is crazy. This game and Space Quest Zero, replicated, the one I just did before, actually are created with the same engine called Adventure Game Interpreter. This is the original engine used by Sierra Online to create adventure games. So that's why it looks so good, and that's why it uses the original type in your commands Text-Parser style so well. They didn't use AGS for this. They used the original engine, which you can actually find. So now I'm actually kind of curious if maybe I can use that instead of AGS, but we'll see. I kind of like, as I mentioned, I like my Text-Parser games a little better than my point-and-click. Now, Space Quest Decisions of the Elders was made using the AGS engine. So they were able to get that graphical style, but it was a point-and-click adventure. So, I thought that was really interesting, which actually makes this game almost a little more impressive, because you may notice in my last video I had to start the game using a oh come on. I had to use it using DOSBox. The reason is because this game does not have an executable that runs in Windows. I looked at the engine, and there are several different ways you can basically create a file to run the game. There's an interpreter that you need to get. And so with this one, the guy went full, classic style. Unfortunately, it makes it really hard to get it to run, because if you don't know what you're doing with DOSBox, obviously you're not going to run it, because it does not run in Windows at all. It has to be run in a DOS prompt, or, maybe an older version of Windows. But, I mean, who runs anything before Windows, 7 these days? I don't think anybody does anymore. So, if you want to play this game, track it down and make sure you know how to use DOSBox and everything. But I just thought that was pretty impressive, because you look at all the graphics that he's used so far, like backgrounds and little animations from other games. I start wondering how hard it was to extract that from other games. And I'll point out, there are a lot of other little things that I know he's copied from, but it almost makes it more interesting to figure out how he managed to do that. I mean, of all I know, he just basically, took the image, edited out the character or something, and took a screenshot or something. I'm not sure how the engine works, but I am curious as to how hard it is to make a game using that engine, and to make something like this. But anyway, so I climbed up into this tree in last episode, and I'm now going to explore it. You are on one of the large branches of the tree. You can actually stand here, though you're careful to watch your footing. Careful doesn't have two L's, does it? He's full of care! That's the Roger we know. There are vines and smaller branches everywhere. Oh, wait, is that a fruit there? I don't understand apple. Oh, and I'll use it again, because I know you understood it the last time. There's a strange fruit hanging from one of the many vines in the tree. You seem to remember somebody telling your mom that very same thing many years ago while playing in one of the trees in the backyard. Wait, what? There is a strange fruit hanging from one of the many vines on the tree. Somebody telling your mom that very same thing many years ago while playing in one of the trees in the backyard? Okay. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Okay. It's some kind of fruit. It looks really juicy. Oh, this is gonna go great. Because in Space Quest, you know it's bad. You decide to size up your nice juicy looking fruit for a bite. Just before you dig in, you notice a small hole in the fruit and what looks like a worm wriggling around. Yuck! You're glad you didn't blindly bite into that sucker. Worms aren't high on your to eat list. Looks like someone got to this fruit before you. That's a wriggly little sucker just chomping away at the fruit. You pluck the little guy out of the fruit and keep him for later. Hey, food might be hard to find around here. You never know. It's an interesting little bit of programming advice here. I think he might have basically done the look commands for almost everything. The look and take command. Because basically, these are the commands he just ran all in a row. Eat fruit. Look at fruit again, because now once you try to eat it, it recognizes that there's a worm. Oh, you can see the sunlight coming in much brighter now. So look at fruit. Now that you know there's a worm, then it describes the fruit with the worm in it. Take worm. Look at worm. It just ran like the whole set of commands. I wouldn't suggest doing that too much. Like I get that it kind of saves a little time, but again, in terms of like immersion, when you're trying to immerse the player in the game, there is a certain thing to be said about having them do little things here and there. Having them do everything all at once is like, okay, now we're going to play the game a little bit for you, you know? It helps the player make a conscious effort to act like they're in the game, like they're the character when they have to kind of micromanage a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, you know? Left foot forward, right foot forward might be a little too obvious. It's an exaggeration, but doing all the look commands and the take command and the lighting in this is just weird. Someday I'll figure out how to do good lighting, but yeah, doing all those in a row might have been just a little bit overkill. And Avonian Freako Worm. Looks delicious. If you liked worms, that is. Well, okay. Now I got a worm. Can I go this way? No. Wait, can I take the vine? There are vines. The are vines. No, spelling and grammar. I'm a little bit if like I know it's a free game, but if you're gonna put something out, just make sure you do a bit of a grammar check and everything. Just that way, it seems like it's nothing, but it can kind of jolt you a little bit. Like I haven't seen too many horrible examples. This is like the worst example I think I've seen so far, but in this one little box. But just yeah, keep an eye on that. If you're in developing games, try to really make sure that you're watching that spelling and grammar. These vines are about as thick as, well, as your head, so you haven't got a prayer of getting any of them. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure if this is how it works. Okay. Oh wait, I don't need to do that. I can just go here. Oh good. Okay, I can't go up anymore, so we'll just climb down. $25 out of 255 points? Holy crap! Alright, well, I haven't done much with the swamp yet. So, yeah. I'm going to save and do the whole... oh, no, take breath. Okay. You are underwater. You're at the edge of the swamp. Oh, well, thanks. That... Interesting. Whoa, dude, why am I not going up? Okay. You just couldn't stay under any longer. The swamp water fills up your lungs, and they pretty much explode in your chest from lack of air. Perhaps if you had a way to breathe while underwater, you'd be able to swim around under here. But as it is, Roger, you're as dead as the Orat back on Corona. Ooh, my volume's up really high. Whoops. Better luck next time. Alright. Okay, so I can't dive yet. That's right! I had to figure out this way. There was something, there was something else. It was like a fruit or something. You size up the fruit and prepare for a bite. Okay, despite the fact that you have no idea what it is, you nonchalantly take a bite from the fruit. Oh! The strange taste is followed by severe convulsions, a tightening of your lungs, gagging, and unfortunately, death. Your last thought is of the unique taste of the strange fruit which you picked off a strange tree on a strange planet. Maybe you shouldn't have put that in your mouth. Oh, you. Okay, so I remember there was something that fills your lungs with air, so you can literally breathe underwater. I just don't remember what it is. I like this view of the character right here. That looks really nice. Like, the animation is really smooth, too. If you remember the original Space Quest 1, it was literally lines for the character. It was much lower res. Like, here, I'm not quite as impressed. Like, I don't like it quite as much, because there's something wrong with his hands. I don't think they're long enough with the arms. But here, it looks a lot better. I still think his arms are a little short, though. Yes. But this right here, that looks really nice. What am I missing? Well, there's more stuff down here. Oh. And see, this is the one thing I have to say, is that sometimes I think that people don't think about... Like, they throw you in a situation, right? But there is no, like, apparent goal as to what we're supposed to be doing in this situation. So, for example, I've got, like, I don't think tab is my inventory in this one. Oh, it is! I have the worm, the flower, the key card, stone, whistle, fruit, translator, lighter, cutter, gem, and Greek. Wait, what's the flower? Well, not that I'd advise putting everything under the multiple suns in your mouth, but you pop it in your mouth. After swirling it around for a while, you decide it just isn't working. Suppressing your gag reflex, you give up the idea. I'm amazed at what you put in your pockets, but now the things you put in your mouth, geez, you do need help, don't you, Roger? Okay, fine. I won't eat everything under the sun. Let's see. And that's the thing, like, there's no apparent goal right now. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm just like, I need to be able to go okay, so we'll look at it this way. My goal right now is to go and try and get underwater and stay there for at least some period of time. Problem is, I have literally no idea how to do that except for a vague... Sorry, there was something that my fan was blowing right in my eyes. And here's another thing about this map. You may notice in Space Quest 0 and even Decisions of the Elders, there were not a lot of superfluous areas. And despite the fact that the graphics in this area are absolutely phenomenal, like, it is really nice looking. I do want to say that there is a lot of areas where I'm basically going, where is... There's nothing here. Like, there's nothing to use. If I do look, it doesn't give me any ideas that there's anything in this area that I can even interact with, so I keep walking. Let's try... Maybe there's something under the water and I can do something temporarily, so... Okay. Oh! You're getting low on air. Your lungs are about as out of shape as you are, and they can't hold much of anything, including air. I think I'm dying from getting eaten by a fish. For a little fish, that tiny-toothed terrorfish has a big mouth. It chewed you up with no problem. Well, you made a nice meal for the pretty fish. Next time, maybe you won't rush into places before checking for man-eating fishes. You are now dead. Okay, so... I just found out that... Okay, so did you notice I was trying to go up? You don't surface, you have... I think you have to type in surface for your character to actually go back up. Oh, excuse me. Okay, yeah. You have to type surface for your character to go to the surface. Oh my goodness, that is going to be a pain. Okay, I guess that's a decision. Yeah, I don't think there's anything there I can do. Well, here, let me see if I can get... Oh, boy. Wow. Okay. Alright, so I literally cannot do anything underwater until I figure out how to breathe underwater. Oh, boy. That's gonna really zlot. Oh, that's another game I might want to look at some point. I don't think I've ever beaten it. It's called, oh boy. The Adventures of Woodruff and the Schnivel or something like that. It's considered one of the strangest games ever made. Like, it's bizarre. That's its entire claim to fame. This is the strangest thing you've ever seen in your life. But, yeah. Can I get vines to maybe... Oh, I don't even know why I'd want to get the Hork. Right? And that's another thing. Like, it seems like there's a lot of different things that I can't do anything with. But I suspect I'm going to do something with it eventually. But the bigger question is, why? Is there a way I can go up to maybe... Oh, hey, this could be unique. No, boy, red plant. I'm going to die. I am definitely going to die. Oh. There is, however, what appears to be a strange growth on one of the bushes. On the second bush from the clearing, there's a strange growth spreading on the bush itself. It appears to be some kind of mold. You scrape some of the mold off the bush and cram it in your never-full pockets. You hope that stuff doesn't start growing in there. Who knows what could happen? Oh, am I getting about 5 points at a time? You, being the complete weirdo that you are, decide to chomp on some of the mold. Okay, despite the fact that you have no idea what kind of mold this is exactly, or what it could do to you, you slap some in your mouth and start chewing. There's a very strange taste, which is followed by a weird feeling. Your lungs seem... Yes! Your lungs seem full of air. You feel like, well, Like you could breathe underwater. That mold must cause some effect that greatly increases your body's capacity to take in and process oxygen. You feel amazing. You wish you felt like this every day. Meanwhile, up in space, oh, we made progress! Progress! It's the, okay, Space Ghost 1, EGA, it's the Coronians, the creatures that were underneath the ground. Back on the Virkotron, the pilot of Shuttle XZ-457 has prepared his report and contacts the captain to relay the information. I don't even remember the voice I was using for this guy. Captain, we've been contacted by Kenro. He is ready to make his report. Good. Put him through immediately. Let's see if we can make some sense of what happened out there. Right away, sir. You can get him on your chair console. Kenro here, Captain. I've completed analysis of the latter fusion bomb. Well, tell me how it went. What exactly happened? Chatro said something about a vessel being caught in the wake. Yes, sir, that's correct. The detonation of the bomb itself went well. The results were as expected. I was monitoring the aftershock of the explosion, trying to get a reading on the radiation output, when I noticed a signal on my scope. At first, I thought it might be an error due to the high radiation affecting my instruments, but it didn't take me long to confirm the contact. It appeared to be a small escape vessel of some sort. I managed to lock onto the craft for long enough to confirm a life sign on board. The life form is in stasis, and the life support system appeared to be functioning on the craft, but I lost contact soon after. Wow, there's a lot of dialogue in this game. I was unable to determine the species of the life form or the origin of the craft. The radiation was getting worse. Excuse me. The radiation was getting worse, and I proceeded into the area of detonation, and I was unable to re-establish a reading on the vessel. The last reading I got had the vessel heading towards planet VMX-574. The trajectory suggested it might get caught in the gravitational pull of the planet. There was no way for me to follow the craft, so I proceeded with my analysis of the explosion and then headed straight back to the Virkotron. Kenro, you realize the problems we have caused in the time stream. Oh, is this time traveled again? I forgot. Was this? If this life form has any significant role to play in a future time period. Yeah, he probably has a little bit of a role. He could have caused ripples that will wreak unknown troubles to a future timeline. How did that craft get there? I thought a sweep was done for light years around the detonation site. We did do a sweep, sir, but because of the distance we checked for any radiation or other exhaust emissions from ships. This ship was drifting with no engines operating, so it never turned up on the scanners. Wow, there's just maybe a little too much dialogue here. It was an oversight on our part. We should have known the possibility existed that a drifting craft would slip through our sweep net. We just got unlucky, and the ship happened to drift into the path of the explosion. We'll have to delay any further work on the bomb. We have to find out who was in that ship. Supply Chatro with all... Oh, this is the other guy. Sorry. Supply Chatro with all the data on the vessel so far, and download the bomb data to the research lab. Is there any way of knowing if the radiation affected the life form? I suspect it might have had some effect, but we don't know what kind of shielding the craft has. We would have to examine the life form to determine for sure. The craft might be able to tell us something as well. Depending on the shielding, we might be able to calculate any possible effects that's provided we find the vessel or the life form. Okay, just, yeah. I like dialogue, but this is getting a little heavy. At this point, I'm certain the craft would have crashed on VMX-574. There's no way to know whether the ship or the lifeform survived the crash, but based on the fact we have no idea what we're dealing with, I would suggest we proceed to the planet and try to recover the craft. Hopefully, with the lifeform still on board. I agree. We'll have to retrieve the vessel, proceed with my orders, and... I'm doing this backwards, aren't I? I've switched their voices! Anyway, yes, Captain out. Later. Judge Rose. I'm gonna voice this guy like Sulu. It's easy to remember. Shadro, set a course for planet VMX574 immediately. Right away, sir. Sir, have you considered the possibility the ship was supposed to get caught in the wake of the explosion? It is a possibility we need to examine, but we can't assume that to be true. We moved the location of that detonation too late to think that this was supposed to happen. That ship just wasn't part of the plan. We have to confirm that lifeform is a non-entity as far as the future goes. If that's the case, we have nothing to worry about, and maybe this was meant to occur. But if we've changed a possible future through our carelessness, we'll be in a lot of trouble. The Council will want a report, and I'll have to mention this. Let's just hope we find the lifeform and can confirm that it has no bearing on any future timeline. Alert every available Silence officer to the situation and tell them to prepare the scanners to search every inch of that planet. Get the time dilator ready to examine the lifeform should we find it. I hope we locate that ship. Well, that was interesting. Of course, you saw or heard none of it, so pretend you didn't, okay? Come on, it won't hurt to just wander around the planet aimlessly as if you have no idea what's going on. Actually, there's no need for me to tell you to do that. You were doing it already. Yeah, that's basically what I was doing. I was wandering around aimlessly. But I can go dive now. So let's go check out the swamp. Yeah, I like dialogue, but I think at some point you gotta... I think they repeated the same thing a few times, so I'm just kind of like... Oh. Alright. Okay. Accompanied by a strange rumbling, you notice something bursting out of the sand. Oh my! That thing doesn't look friendly! Watching the creature's tentacles approach, you briefly consider what you could do to persuade this thing that you wouldn't make a good meal. But alas, you do not have the time. The tentacles wrap around you and begin pulling you down. Could this creature just be lonely and looking for friends? You quickly find out the answer. Well, the tentacle creature apparently ain't interested in anything other than an early dinner. Stunned by the speed, not to mention the force of the grip of your new friend, you hardly even feel your back break as you're pulled to the creature's lair entrance. Maybe you should be more careful. In case you're wondering, you are quite dead. But if it's any consolation, your underwear is stuck somewhere in the creature's innards, and being nearly indestructible, they cause an unending pain for the next 100 or so years. Well, I'll say that might make me feel a little better. Well, geez. So maybe it... What if I use the fruit? You're in an underwater cave. You can only move west into the You can only move west into the cave, which isn't as dark as you would expect, or east back into the swamp. Okay, so there's something looking like a clam swimming around. Big deal. You can't do anything with it. You can't do anything with the squiggly thing either, so drop that idea right now. Well, I'm glad they told me that. It kind of does help. Okay, let's look around and see what else we can find. There are various types of underwater life swimming around, some more prevalent than others. You can't do anything with them, though, so stop sightseeing and get a move on. You are underwater. You are at the edge of the swamp. What? Where? Not letting me go and look at stuff. You're underwater. You are at the edge of the swamp. The rocks seem to block the way to the west, but you are not so sure. That's an interesting way of putting it. Okay, well, here I am. The rocks at the edge of the swamp appear to have a small hole. The hole looks like a small cave. There are some bones under the hole. You can't get the bones, so just give up that idea right now. If you want to do something, try something in the hole or something. Geez, just because something is lying around, you want to pick it up. Yeah. The hole looks like a small cave. There are some bones under the hole. It's not really big enough to be a cave, but might have something in it. Okay. Well, I'm out of time. That is part 2. I really am liking this. I do think that it's a little dialogue heavy at times, but I mean, other than that, I mean, overall, it's extremely well made. Uh, little like critiques here and there, but I don't think it's anything really super major that I would, call it on. But just the dialogue, maybe streamlining it a bit would be nice, especially with an old style like this. Like with the point and click ones, I think the dialogue is meant to be a little more. There's a lot more dialogue. It's kind of okay for some. I don't know why, but just that general feel. Um, the graphics are fantastic. The sound is obviously just it's spot on. But yeah. But anyway, absolutely loving it. Looking forward to playing more. Thanks everybody for dropping by. I always appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, if you like my videos, please subscribe. If you want to see more content, hit the notifications icon so that you'll know when I post up new stuff. And as always, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.